And welcome back to Let's Play Silent Hill 4 The Room. Last time, we entered the hospital world, found Eileen, who was in a pretty bad state of affairs, and we escaped from the hospital and have returned to Subway World. We also got our first experience with apartment hauntings. Our apartment no longer heals us, and now we periodically have apparitions appearing within the apartment to cause a variety of effects and drain our health should we close in on them. Now, I actually want to take a moment here to explain how apartment hauntings work. Now, what determines if the apartment ends up haunted? Now, I'm not 100% sure how this works. I used to think it was based on a in-game clock that just determines when a haunting spawns in. I also thought it might be progression tied, but as far as I can tell, hauntings just have a random chance of appearing in the apartment when you return from the in-game world. So you enter a portal, there's a chance when you come out on the other side back in room 302, there will be a haunting to deal with. You can have up to 3 hauntings in your apartment at a time. If you enter the apartment and another haunting spawns, one of the existing hauntings is booted out and replaced with a new one should it happen to spawn in. If a haunting is booted out by another one, it is considered unexorcised. That is important because if you don't exorcise hauntings, it contributes to your ending. Now, if you want to get the good endings of the game, you simply just have to exorcise every haunting as you see them, which is perfectly easy to do, even if you have no idea what you're doing in this game. If you want to get the bad endings, you want to ignore the hauntings, or at the very least, let a few persist or get booted out before purging any of them with holy candles and saints medallions. I believe you need to clear 80% of the hauntings, so if you get 5 hauntings over the course of the game, which if you're playing as efficiently as possible is probably the amount you're going to see, you need to exercise at least 4 of them to get the good ending, and on the other hand, if you want to get the bad endings, then you just need to ignore at least 2 of those, and you'll get a bad ending. Other thing to note is that you remember the man in the coat offered us a doll. If you happen to take that doll and stick it in your chest, every time you return to the apartment, it triggers a special haunting above the chest, which will appear every single time you return to room 302, even if you exorcise it, and the only way to stop it is to pull the doll out of the chest, at which point you have to keep it in your inventory at all times because there is no option for dropping items, and there is no way to get rid of the doll. Now, if you happen to be playing on the PC version, half the hauntings in that version of the game are bugged and actually do not trigger due to a coding error. And when I say the PC version, I mean the digital one that was released on Good Old Games, which is by far the best option for playing this game because physical copies have been inflated quite a bit, and the PC version plays quite a bit better than emulation. But due to a coding error, half the hauntings in the game, including the more interesting ones, just simply don't appear, including the doll haunting, which means that one is just completely useless. Or rather, the item itself serves no function, so it's just a red herring. Very recently, a mod actually was created that actually restores the hauntings by correcting the coding error. Off-screen, I actually took the time to drop the submachine gun back into the chest, because we're not going to be using it for the rest of the subway area. But there is the potential to use it, actually in just a few moments, but I want to do this legitimately and give an accurate idea of what it is like to go through this game on a first playthrough. I'll only be breaking out the submachine gun for maybe the occasional fun moment, or possibly not at all, since we're going to get another weapon for Eileen that's almost as good as the submachine gun for the moments where you'd actually want Eileen to engage in combat. Alright, so let's head into the next screen here. And at first, nothing will happen when you enter this section of the subway terminal. However, hey, what's that on the ground? It looks like hair. And at this moment, we are introduced to essentially the mini-bosses of Silent Hill 4, only halfway through the game, right? The new victims. The new victim ghosts are, of course, the ghostly forms of the victims we met earlier in the game. This one, obviously, well, perhaps not obviously, because she doesn't really look that much like her anymore, but this is Cynthia, who is pretty transparently based on Sadako of the Ring franchise, and she is the first new victim we come across, and easily one of the most threatening. It is highly recommended that you take out Cynthia. There are 2 recommended strategies for doing this, because not a lot of people would recommend that you engage her in direct combat. I, on the other hand, have the supplies for a relatively quick kill on her that will save us a valuable supply for a later date. Now, absolutely, anytime you choose to engage a new victim in combat, you absolutely want to have a Saint's Medallion equipped because it will counteract the worst of their effects, and they're much more durable than the average ghost victim, so if you don't have this, you will be taking tons of damage from their passive AoE. Now, if you choose to ignore a new victim ghost, they will persist throughout the bulk of the area you find them in, and they're a lot more aggressive, have a lot more attacking options than regular victim ghosts. So, for most of them, it's pretty advisable that you take them out, but there is at least one of them that is you can pretty easily skip and it won't be a big deal, but for the sake of this Let's Play, I'm going to be taking out all of them, so let's run up to her. My strategy is we're going to quickly bash her over the head with the axe 3 times, just stun her a little bit, place the holy candle, and then just keep bashing her while she floats over the holy candle. Make sure you have the Sword of Obedience selected in your inventory. There we go, and when she screams like that, that means her health has been exhausted and you can pin her. Super, super easy kill to get with her. Just place the holy candle and keep her locked in place with the rusty axe using normal swings. You will take her out absolutely no problem. She is no longer an issue for the rest of the game. If you do not keep up the offensive on Cynthia, she will attempt to ensnare you in her hair, and that can pretty quickly result in you dying. All of the new victims have ridiculously damaging attacks that you do not want to be on the receiving end of. Fortunately, since we've pinned her with the sword, we no longer have to worry about her. But yeah, with the Holy Candle, Ghost Cynthia is a very easy fight. You shouldn't have to worry about it too much. I really, even on a speedrun, I really would not recommend skipping her because she can become a massive, massive headache if you leave her unchecked. Now, there is a room that we want to check out here because it has some items in it, so there's a couple of sniffer dogs here. Let's get this one backed up with the rusty axe. There we go. Getting a little close there, Eileen. Just take this one out. Yep, that one. Oh, hey! Oh, man, jeez, this thing is absolutely destroying me. Alright, let's back up a little bit. Yeah, Eileen, stay out of the way. Okay, and here we go. That was a bit unfortunate. That is okay, though, because there's 2 things we were coming in this room for. First off, by this mannequin over here, or rather these I can't even tell what these are. There's a horse riding crop. This is an Eileen weapon. Very substantial upgrade over Eileen's handbag. So if you don't have the submachine gun and you want Eileen to contribute to combat, this is a good weapon to have. Over here, we've got a nutrition drink, and as you can see, there is another one on the opposite side, plus a sniffer dog. We're just going to use that right away so that we can clear it out of our inventory and just get some of our health back. Don't
leave me alone.
I'm not leaving you, Eileen. I'm not leaving you. Don't worry about using up nutrition drinks as you grab them. Since we're not getting healed by returning to the apartment anymore, it really does behoove you just to keep yourself topped off at all times. And the nutrition drinks, they're so common, it's an easy and effective way to keep yourself topped off that way. So, heading into this area, if you remember way back when we first came here, there was a toy box that had a strange symbol on it. It had 1,000 in it, and we just so happen to have a toy key here, so
Looks like
there's a filthy coin inside the box.
South Ashfield Station.
You got the filthy coin. Coin caked with dirt and grime. Bet I could clean it in the kitchen sink in my room. So, yes, this is another forced return to the apartment, unfortunately. We do need this coin to be cleaned off in order to utilize it. Now, I'm actually going to head a little bit into the train maze here, because there's a very good item we can get, but once I grab it, we're actually going to retreat back to the opposite platform, because there's a much more effective way to handle this area. However, I'm looking for a specific item here, and it's one that is difficult to see. Let me see here. Where are you? I suppose, though, there's no reason to keep it a secret. We're looking... There is a Saint's Medallion around here, so let me see here. I forget how we need to approach this to get it, so bear with me for a second. If I'm taking too long to find it, I'll just cut it out. So let me see here. Yeah, I believe we're in the right car right now. Just a little bit further. Hold on, no, this isn't right. Alright, so the guy I've been following to collect all the items claims there's a Saint's Medallion somewhere in here, but I'm not having any luck finding it, so we're just going to ignore that for right now. If there really is one, I don't know, maybe someone will point it out to me, but I'm not seeing it. Now, obviously, the coin we got it from a Manila box, and we got that vending machine over there that's accepting Manila currency, so we could use it on there. However, in its current filthy state, it would just reject, so we need to get the coin cleaned. To that end, remember how we unlocked this door earlier in the game? Well, this is a great way to keep this as efficient as possible. Also, we got a holy candle here. Very nice. Sorry, excuse me. But we have to go down a ladder, and when we go down the ladder, well...
I can't use a ladder with my arm like this.
As Eileen so helpfully points out, she could not hope to climb a ladder with her arm in that condition, so we have no choice but to leave her behind. Now, this is very, very, very important to know. Even if the game forces you to leave Eileen behind, she does in fact take damage in rooms where there aren't enemies. It's a very small amount of damage, and it's dependent on room transitions, but she will be taking damage while we are absent from her. But this can be offset to a degree. Eileen actually gains damage resistance the more room she stays with Henry without taking damage, and if you have been protecting her well up to this point, likely the amount of trips we're going to be taking through various screens won't cause her to take any damage at all. Also, Eileen is put into complete stasis if you return to the apartment, and you don't have to worry about her at that point. She won't be taking any damage no matter what. Now, of course, we need to return to the apartment to clean off the coin, but there's a couple of things we can grab before we do so. Now, be very careful heading onto this train platform here, as we have sniffer dogs wandering about here, so we want to start prepping up a charge strike, and just catch this one while it's not being defensive. Stomp it out. Let's back up this one. Okay, oop, it's getting, there we go. Alright, let me see if I can close in on it. Okay. Yeah, let it break the lock on there. Do a quick step forward there, and stomp it out. There we go. No problem, no problem. Alright, with that taken care of, now we can grab some items uncontested. There are no other enemies on here. Over here, we've got some pistol bullets. Heading around this way, and heading up this stairwell. Sorry, there's not too much interesting to say when you're just grabbing items, but not a terrible idea to come this way because there's a portable medical kit. We can always take those tier 2 healing items. We're probably going to need plenty of those since I'm trying to be as thorough as possible with this Let's Play, and that is going to open me up to a lot more damage over the course of the entire game. Heading into this train car right here, we just want to quickly head across and find another holy candle. So now we're already doing pretty good on options to deal with hauntings in our apartment, should we have any when we return. Now that we've grabbed all these items, we can store most of these away in the chest. We don't have to worry about hauling all the stuff with us at all times. And you do actually want to keep your inventory to a particular level by the time you finish this area. You want to have at least 2 free item slots by the time you finish this area, and I should be able to manage that, but we'll see if I have to make any superfluous trips back to the apartment. Ideally, I'll be able to get through the game with the minimal number of trips, but I may take a couple extra just for the sake of the Let's Play. So now that we're returning to the apartment, we do have the potential that there could be a haunting awaiting us, but we also have a good reserve of holy candles now, so we don't have to worry too much about that. Do note that while the majority of the hauntings appear in the living room, some of them are centered around Henry's bedroom, and more than a couple of them can kick in as soon as you get out of the bed, because they're right next to it, so be mindful of that. And yes, we do have another haunting. Remember to leave your radio on. It'll immediately alert you to hauntings in the apartment, should it be on. Sometimes the game just randomly turns it off, and I'm not sure what causes it to do that, but it's not a super persistent issue. So we got the sped up clock haunting here. Just place a holy candle on the chair, and it'll slowly begin to become a broken clock again. No longer will it be right at all times of the day. Now, let's wash off the filthy coin here. You wash the filthy coin with water. And now we have an official 1 minute coin. And you probably noticed we've got another red piece of paper under the door. Let's see what we got on this one. A few days after Walter killed himself in his cell, several residents witnessed a long-haired man with a coat here. Through his window, Richard Braintree in 207 saw the man moving something heavy and doing something in room 302. Even Sunderland, the superintendent, saw the man with the coat hanging around room 302 and confirmed there were signs of someone having been in there. July 17th. Perhaps a guy with a connection to Walter Sullivan. Man in a coat, though. I sincerely doubt that could just be a coincidence. Before we head back to Subway World, we just want to clear out our inventory. We actually do not need the Lynch Street line coin anymore. You can store that away. Let's get rid of our portable medical kit. Get rid of the candle, the bullets. We're not going to be using the riding crop, so we're going to get rid of that. And that should leave us with enough space to pick up everything that there is to pick up in Subway World. Now, something to note, in the area past where we fought the ghost of Cynthia, where I got attacked by all those sniffer dogs at the start of the game, or rather 2 sniffer dogs, there are a couple of items, including a super critical one to pick up, but it's more efficient and easier to just go back for them once we return that way, because we are actually going to be getting a method to loop back around to that way, and we'll be able to grab those items without Eileen in tow, and I'd actually recommend doing that, because that hallway is crawling with gumheads, and those are among the enemies that will actually focus on Eileen, should they lose sight of Henry. So let's return to Eileen for a brief moment, just because she happens to be on the path to the vending machine. Just going to have her back in tow for a little bit, but she will, once again, be left behind on the ladder. The whole reason we're going through this rigmarole, of course, is because Eileen can't get through down the ladder, but to get out of Subway World, we actually do need to get her to the bottom platform, so we need to find an alternative way to get her down there. Using the filthy coin here. So this came out of the vending machine. You got the murder scene key. Now, you can actually come back for this after you do the loop around to the murder scene where we found Cynthia's corpse. We need to return there to get a specific item, and the murder scene key is for the ticket booth or the subway clerk station there. But we do need to go in there, and it's up to you if you just want to loop back around after we get the item that'll allow us to easily get back to that area, or if you just want to deposit the filthy coin now, get the murder scene key, and grab the item on the first trip. Not that it really matters. Here is a nutrition drink. I'm just going to use this one to top myself off. And there's going to be another nutrition drink later on down the line if we want to keep some healing in reserve. Heading on to the lower platform, this time around we don't have to worry about sniffer dogs, but there will be victim ghosts, and if you have not pinned Cynthia at this point, she will also appear down here, and she is much, much more dangerous to deal with down this way, so I'd really recommend pinning her when you have the first opportunity, because she can cause a problem later when we need to get through the area. It's at this point that I'd like to note, any item that you did not pick up on your first go-around in any of the worlds will still be here. So I'd actually recommend leaving the nutrition drink available at the base of the escalator here the first time, so that you can just grab it on the way through if you happen to take some damage. It's a nice and convenient source of healing that you can pick up on your way to a potentially dangerous area. Returning to the escalators with the wallmen, with the rusty axe in tow, we actually have a lot more safety against these things because of the generous invincibility frames that the rusty axe has, and we can just swing wildly with a charge attack as we go by. Do wait for them to come out and swipe first, because the hit detection can be a little weird, and that's just the easiest way to make sure your swing actually connects. The pistol method is no longer necessary because the rusty axe has us covered. Also, this trip back through the escalator, there are actually less wall men this time around, so it's easier to make it up this time. There are actually slightly more on the down escalator this time, though, which, I wonder why that could be. And let's just play it safe here. I don't want to take too much damage because, like I said, since I'm going to be trying to show off as much as possible, I'm going to be opening up myself up to a lot more damage in this Let's Play. And without the safety healing of the apartment to fall back on, I really, really do got to be careful in certain situations. Fortunately, the game, in most cases, actually has less areas packed with really threatening enemies than it did at the start of the game, which makes it a little easier to take Eileen through most areas. Also, it's kind of interesting how, like, when you come in this area, there's just, like, a small instrumental sting of Room of Angel. Another nutrition drink. We should have plenty of inventory slots to grab every item in this area and then get out without having to return to the apartment. Heading up to the scene where we originally discovered Cynthia's corpse, there's going to be a couple things for us to grab here. First off, this was Cynthia's. This is Cynthia's commuter ticket. Take it, yes. The commuter ticket functions like the Lynch Street line coin, but it can get us through this turnstile too, which the Lynch Street line coin could not. So that's why I left the Lynch Street line coin behind, because the commuter's ticket will allow us to get us through both gates we need to get through. Heading into the actual murder scene here. What's a train handle doing here? Take the train handle. This is the item we need to get out of Subway World, so that's why you need the murder scene key. It's up to you if you want to just use the commuter's ticket now, quickly run down, grab the murder scene key, and then double back and grab it. I personally just think it's more effective to grab the murder scene key the first go around, and then get this now. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm heading the right way. Heading into this area, there's one not so important item, which is just a nutrition drink, but one super critical item, one super rare item, and a bunch of gum heads. This is why I wanted to wait until we dropped off Eileen, because these gum heads could easily surround her and cause her some serious problems if we just took Eileen through here. But the real reason we want to come here is this item right here. Silver bullets. You got the silver bullets. Silver bullets. Special bullets effective against ghosts. Small diameter. Best used with the pistol. When it says that it is special bullets effective against ghosts, well, first off, silver bullets is a bit of a misnomer. As you can see, there's only one bullet there. It is a singular silver bullet. But when it says it's effective at ghosts, this means that it drops ghosts in a single hit. You can take out any of the new victims with a single shot from the silver bullets. The caveat to that is that there are only 2 silver bullets available to use in the game. Now, technically speaking, there are 3, but for all practical purposes, there are only 2 to use in the game. I'll explain why that is when we have the opportunity to potentially get the 3rd silver bullet, but I'm not going to be getting the 3rd silver bullet for reasons I don't want to go into right now. It is a colossal waste of time, and it's more of an Easter egg than anything else. So, yeah, for most of the game, there's only 2 silver bullets. One of them is on the way of a place you need to go to, and it's highly unlikely you'll miss it. This one that we just got, it's possible to miss it if you don't think to explore that area past the turnstiles, but of course I know it's there, and I know how valuable it can be, and I know exactly whose name is on this silver bullet, so it'll be used in due time. Now that we've done all that, we can grab Eileen, and the whole reason we went that roundabout way was to get the commuter's ticket so that we could get to the King Street line, so that we can get Eileen down to the lower levels of the subway via the escalator, since she can ride down that just fine. Of course, we do have to be mindful of the wall men on the way down, so we're going to be taking a pretty cautious way down it. I believe you can just run up the stairs, and Eileen will catch up with you in due time and not take any damage, but, well, why chance it? I'm not super familiar with how the non-door transitions work, beyond the fact that Eileen will continue to follow you, even if she isn't in the, trigger zone to immediately spawn her into the next area with you. Alright, heading this way, let's use our commuter's ticket to get back on through. Remember, you want to use it on the side with the ticket slot. And leave Cynthia to her fate. If you want to, you can take the Sword of Obedience back and just deal with her as she comes. But the new victims are basically the intended recipients of the swords of obedience. I honestly can't think of any of the regular victims that are really threatening enough that they might warrant being pinned. And truth be told, the final sword of obedience isn't available for us to collect until after the point where we could have potentially pinned all of the new victims. So I don't really consider it a part of a normal run of the game, all truth be told. Alright, so we want to make sure, actually no, we don't want to prep up a charge swings. Instead, we want to, ow. Well, this is already off to a swimming start. Oh god. Okay. You instead want to run up and just do normal swings so that, as the charge swing is going, they don't get a chance to slap Eileen. Okay, let that swing come. It takes 3 normal swings to get the wallmen to slump over and stop slapping. Sometimes they go down in 2, but you should always do 3 just to be safe. Yeah, that's one of the annoying things about this game, is sometimes enemies will take, at random times, they'll take less damage than normal to put into either dead states or stun states, so you should always go for the most instead of assuming you'll get lucky. The only thing that really does consistent damage to everything in this game, you can always expect them to fall over in the same amount of hits, is the pistol. I don't have too much experience with using the revolver, just simply because it's not terribly useful and you get so little ammo for it. I'm not really sure how much the revolver affects various things in this game. I'll probably pull it out just for the sake of showing it off at certain moments. And with that taken care of, we have finished off the subway. At this point, you want to make a break for the train car. Don't worry about Eileen. She'll catch up eventually, and there's nothing that's going to hurt her. One thing to note about the victim ghosts is that they will not attack Eileen, and Eileen is not vulnerable to the area of effect damage that they deal. If you don't have a Saint's Medallion equipped, Eileen will actually take what is known as fake possession damage, where her visual condition will worsen, but she won't actually take any damage. When you use the train handle, Eileen automatically teleports to the car with you, so you don't have to worry about guiding her through the doorway if she gets stuck outside. Heading into this hallway, we get a Sword of Obedience, the third Sword of Obedience, and also potentially your second if you didn't know about the second one hidden in Building World, which I had to look it up in a guide. As I was saying, I had to look it up in a guide to find out where that second Sword of Obedience in Building World was. Now, that cutscene right there, that was a warning. Going into the next world, we're going to periodically be attacked by the man in the coat. He will chase us down and he will attack us with a handgun and a chainsaw, so we need to be mindful of that going into Forest World. All of the worlds are replayed in the order you initially went through them in. Now, fortunately, we don't have to worry about the man in the coat at the moment, because we've got another stairwell to go through. I'm actually not going to worry too much about getting Eileen leashed at the moment, because there are certain things you can see if you look in the background. You'll see bodies strewn over the fences and the railings and the steel girders. And after a certain point, you'll actually start seeing bodies falling in the background. There are actually some pretty interesting visual details going on in the background in the later stairwells. And of course, you probably noticed the blood trail going down the center of the stairwell. Alright. How well did Eileen keep pace there? Not very well at all, unfortunately. But what was I saying? Yeah, so the man in the coat will be chasing us in the coming worlds. Fortunately, he does not pay any attention to Eileen. He will leave her alone, so you don't have to worry about him attacking Eileen. Also, I cut off Eileen's dialogue. Eileen's dialogue is triggered at complete random, so it's actually kind of difficult to hear it if you aren't specifically just waiting in place for her to say something. Now, heading into Forest World, we have probably one of the less liked Eileen quests, though I don't think this one's too bad once you figure out how it works. Heading over this way, there's something written on the candlestick. Holy flame. It's a torch. Take the torch. You got the torch. Equipable item. The tip can be lit on fire to light up dark areas. Soak the torch in oil to make it last even longer. Soak it in oil. Where could we possibly do that? Now, the gimmick of Forest World this time around is, remember those wells that we came across when we first came through this area, and Henry said they were too dark to see into? We can light the torch with these now lit up holy flames and use it to see into the wells and grab the items within them. The torch counts as a weapon, so it'll enter your equip slot. If you happen to use it for combat, which I wouldn't really recommend, it's functionally very similar to the steel pipe. You probably heard the door opening there. That's the man in the coat. He will begin to chase us. What we want to do for these first couple screens until we get to the orphanage, we just want to make a beeline for the gate and let Eileen catch up to us. None of the enemies we have to worry about in these areas will focus on Eileen. They will all make a path towards Henry, so hopefully we can get through quick enough. Eileen, come on. There we go. If you hear Eileen gasping, it's more than likely because she got bumped by an enemy. Remember, when dealing with the sniffer dogs, you want to take zigzaggy routes, go through terrain and stuff to see if you can't block them. Unfortunately, I got pretty unlucky there, but it's not a huge deal. There's going to be plenty of healing items in this area. You probably noticed that the torch already is unlit. Yes, the torch lasts for a very, very brief amount of time. So we got the doll's head we needed. That is the only item we needed to get from that first trail, so we do not need to go back there. I believe there's a nutrition drink on the path, but I'm not concerned about collecting it. Let me see. There's, hey. I remember these. Someone carved some kind of weird writing. Looks like the writing got scattered to the wind after the orphanage burned down. Eileen?
I can read this writing. It looks like some kind of a diary. Here goes. March 17th. I went to Ashfield again. It was my 4th time. Just like last time, my mother... something... The city is scary, and the apartment where my mother is has... I can't read any more than that.
Eileen, for some reason, is capable of reading the very scrawling script located on the stones and trees spread throughout the forest world. Interesting. Wonder why that could possibly be. Well, probably not something we have to pay any mind to. Heading to this central area, there's a note written on the ground. Something's here, but nothing's here. I feel something from the well. Something missing. Ah! It has begun! Jasper. Jasper writes down his screams as he's burning. But yes, Jasper's immolation did ultimately result in the orphanage burning down, which, honestly, I'm sure is to the relief of the orphans who lived here. A charred doll's body is sitting in the wheelchair. There's a message carved into it. Though my body be destroyed, I will not let you pass here. To prayer for the receiver of wisdom, I cut my body into 5 pieces and hid them in the darkness. When my body is once again whole, the path to below will be opened. If you are the receiver of wisdom, you will understand my words. The ritual has begun. So, we can probably surmise at this point, this doll is where the doll pieces we can collect from the wells are meant to be placed. So, we'll have to put this guy together and see what that results in for us. One thing to note about that doll's memo, once you solve the puzzle, you will not be able to reread the doll's memo. In fact, you might not even be able to read it after you place doll pieces on it, but don't quote me on that. Whatever the case, before you place any piece on it, just be sure to read that memo. There's one last item to grab in this central area. If you head over to these monkey bars here, there's a chain here. Take the chain. Yes. This is the 3rd available weapon for Eileen, not counting the submachine gun, the chain. And it's pretty widely considered to be her best weapon in the game. Again, discounting the submachine gun. I gotta find a better way to word that. It has the longest range, some of the highest damage, but one thing to note about it is that it makes Eileen extra aggressive. She will go out of her way to fight enemies if she has the chain equipped, rather than simply attacking them if Henry engages or they get in her way. So be mindful of that. Anytime you want Eileen to fight with you, though, this is the weapon to use on a fresh playthrough. With that all said and done, as you can see, our inventory is quite full, so we need to return to the apartment at this point, deal with any hauntings that may have appeared while we were away, and then let's stow our items and get what we need for the coming trials. As you can probably imagine, we're going to have another new victim to deal with. I don't feel like I have to explain who it will be, but you know what? If you haven't already guessed it, I'll leave it a surprise for you. Heading into the apartment here, let's see if we've got any interesting new hauntings. Remember to always have your Saints medallion equipped before returning to the apartment, just in case it's one right beside Henry's bed. That'll protect you from immediately taking some damage when you return to the apartment. And, as a matter of fact, the radio's turned itself off, but I can still hear that we got an apartment. It's the rattling windows haunting. This is one of the more common ones in the game. This one, you just have to walk up to it and place the candle at the windowsill, and it will begin to dissipate, so... Not a terribly threatening haunting. Now, I'm not going to use the silver bullet on the upcoming victim ghost that we have to deal with, so I'm going to put this away for now. Obviously going to store all the nutrition drinks at the moment. I may pull one out before I start the next recording. I actually am going to keep the chain, though. Now, before we return to the forest world, there is, in fact, one thing that we want to make sure we do in the apartment to make the quest for collecting the doll pieces easier on ourselves once we re-enter Forest World. But I'll go over that when we return. As always, I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, though, goodbye.